Hi everybody, Papa Dennis here. It's been a while, since I've done a video. I've been busy with a band that I joined, learning their tunes, and also setting up the keyboard, learning the tunes number one, then setting up the keyboard to play the various sounds that I need to play as the keyboard man in the band. So I want to go over some of that today in this video. And what you heard on the opening clip was the intro and a little bit of the beginning of Disco Inferno. Yeah, that's one of the tunes we do. And you can see I'm in my live set area on the MODX, and I've got my live set area set up for sets. So these songs we do in set 1, and this is set 2, set 3. So Disco Inferno, let's look at that to start with, how to make some of those sounds. You can't see it, but over on the left I've got just 2 scenes set up. The first scene has strings layered with some horns on the right side of the keyboard, and then just horns on the left side. So that's my left hand playing down, starting at the F1 key to the B1 key to the E flat 2 key. That's the D flat 9 chord that starts the song. And I'm not going to teach you these songs in the video. I'm really going to just show you how to set up your MODX to play some of the sounds you might need playing pop and rock tunes. And I hope that's helpful. But anyway, in this example, Disco Inferno, I've got the horns down here, and then that string line I play with my right hand, etc. And I've got a pretty heavy reverb because the strings on the original are heavily reverbed. And then after that intro, I switched to scene 2. And I'm going to show you how the scenes are set up in a minute, but scene 2 is the clavinet. And I've got horns up here in scene 2. So how do I do all that? Let's go back to scene 1, and you'll see when I switch from scene 1 to scene 2, some of the parts in the performance are muted, and some are unmuted. So this is scene 1, and what do I have? I've got brass ensemble over here on the left side of the keyboard. You can see it goes from C2 to D sharp 2. I'm sorry, C minus 2, which is off the far left end of the keyboard. And then over on the right, I've got a bunch of things layered. First of all, there's a string ensemble in part 1. There's some pizzicato strings in part 2. Another string ensemble in part 3. And then I've got a brass orchestra. See, it just gives a little more fullness. So I think it's a good sound. Over in scene 2, that's where the clavinet comes in. So you can see when I switch to scene 2 that the strings and the brass ensemble get muted out, and I've got the clavinet set up over here, but also up higher, starting at A sharp 3 and going to the end of the keyboard, I've got some more brass to do this part. So I'll play initially. And now I'm playing, as you saw in the opening clip, I'm playing in the region of C3. C1 through G3 roughly. As soon as you get to B flat or A sharp 3, that's where the horns kick in, and so I play those up here. That's Disco Inferno. And also, when you set up your keyboard like this, and again, I've covered this in a previous video, but you have to adjust in many cases the pitch. So I'll show you an example here. Let's go part settings, pitch. Yeah, in this case, see the note shift of plus 12. That's 12 semitones, 1 octave. So for this particular part, the brass ensemble, I'm going to solo it. Where is it? Yeah, it's down here. Yeah, that's a sound that's used in the beginning of the tune to support that the arpeggiated strings. And so if I didn't do a plus 12 on that, let's go back there. I'm playing this, what you're hearing, that's F1, B1, and E flat 2. So if I didn't do a note shift of plus 12, it's going to be no good. So when you do splits on your keyboard, you have to make adjustments in many cases to the pitch, move things up and down 1 or 2 octaves. All right, enough said about that. Let's look at another song, and I'm going to pick Sucker here, which is now highlighted, and I'm going to press the Performance Home button on the right side of the keyboard there. Takes us to this Performance home page, and you'll see I've got 7 parts here, and Sucker's not too, there's not too much going on for the keyboard player. I've got in the middle of the keyboard, I'm playing, this is G2 up to E flat 3. And our band does this song in C minor, the original C sharp minor. The chords are just C minor, F minor, B flat, E flat, A flat to G. That's pretty much the whole song. In C sharp minor, if you want to know the chords, I'll play them and then I'm going to put the chords on screen. Those are the same chords I just played in C minor, up a half tone, but back to C minor. Also, what I needed to do in this particular song is that little whistle sound that comes in. So let's break it down, and I'm also going to show you one more thing. I do clapping in this song, and I've got a low F sharp key set up to do the clapping sound. So. And then. So how do I do all that? Let's start with the middle chords here. You'll see that there are 3 parts that are playing these chords. And in part 1, I've got, let's look at it. I'll hit edit. That's one of the electric guitar sounds on the MODX. You can see up here, it's one of the preset guitar sounds. It's in the electric clean subcategory under guitars, and it's called TC clean fingered. Different elements, different. It's got some harmonics, etc. So part 1 has got this guitar sound. Part 2 has a it's a sawtooth brass sound. Just adding a little fatness to that. And then I've got this crunchy Fender Rhodes sound. It's called Crunchy Comp. Also layered. So these 3 sounds, parts 1, 2, and 7, are doing this. Okay, got that. And that's just how I set it up. If you're ever in a situation where you need to play the song, I would suggest, number 1, add a guitar sound, or start with a guitar sound, and then layer it maybe with an electric piano sound of some kind. Also, I have the whistle, which is just one part right here in the middle, and it's a sound called whistle. And that's all there is to it. If I hit the edit button on that guy, let's see. Did I have to? Yeah, the note shift has not been changed. So that's the default pitch. But I'm playing at the C5 key, so I'm playing pretty high up the keyboard. That's C5. And that's pretty much it, except this, the clapping, which is in these two parts. I'm gonna get out of here now. I'm gonna show you how to set up pretty much, well, to set up one or more notes on your keyboard to have some percussive sounds. And usually you want to keep them away from the middle of the keyboard where you're going to be doing some of the lead parts, leads and chords, right? So let's take a look at how we accomplish that. I'm going to go to the category area, and I'm going to hit init, and I'm going to make a new drum performance. Okay, let's hit performance home, and let's see. I'm going to hit this guy and then hit edit. Initially, it gives me this drum kit, which is mostly snare drums, right? And I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this page, and I'm going to select him, and we're going to go category search. And now you can select drums, right? Drum/percussion. And now you can pick drum kits or a drum kit that'll have the sound or sounds that you're looking for a particular song, all right? And in this case, I was looking for clapping. Now, which kits have clapping? I had to look around, and I mean, there's all different types of clapping. You can have very electronic sounding clapping or realistic. It all depends on what you're going for. This is dub kit, dance floor kit. I mean, the MODX has some really awesome drum sounds. But I guess in this particular example, the clapping sound that I found that was pretty natural and that I used came out of the Pop Latin kit. There it is, yeah, Pop Latin kit. Now I'm playing the low F sharp key. It's actually F sharp 0, which on the 76 key MODX, which is the MODX 7, it's the third note up from the very left side of the keyboard. There it is. So that was the clapping sound that I chose to use in the song Sucker, and it was pretty good the way it was. After you find it, you can add some effects to it if you want more reverb, if you want compression or any special effects, whatever. I would do it now, and in fact also what I would do now would be to copy this guy, and I'm going to hit copy, put him over in part 2, a copy of him that is. Now I've got the same exact thing in 2 different parts. I'm going to hit edit on part 1, and I'm going to pan part 1 all the way to the left, and over here I'm going to just jump over to part 2, and I'm going to pan part 2 all the way to the right. So it just kind of spreads out the sound, and if you want to, you can adjust the volumes. Let's try about 100. Okay. And then what you want to do is hit the store button, and you want to store as a new performance, and I'm going to call it something really clever like hand claps. Okay, done. There it is. Now, if I'm over in a song, yeah, let's say I wanted some hand clapping in this particular song, I would hit plus, and then I would go to search. I would just start with hand, and hand claps. That's the one I just created, and exit. Now I'm getting piano sound down there, which in this case I would not want. So I'm going to turn him off at G0, and I'm going to turn him off at G0, 0. Also, oh, what I forgot to mention, very important, you want to restrict your clapping to just one note. So I'm pressing F sharp 0 for the low, for the starting point and the ending point, right? F sharp 0. So piano goes all the way down to that low G or G0, and then there's my clapping. And that's it. You got to be careful, because if you notice, when I created the hand clap performance, I made it a two-part performance. And when I therefore added it to part 5 here, it actually gave me 2 parts, because it brought in both parts. So you might want to create a drum kit that only has one part. Otherwise, you might get in trouble if you've already got a performance that's got, say, 7 parts, and you bring in the two-part performance, add to it. You're only going to get one of the 2 parts. So, okay, that's a detail. So let's get out of here. I'm going to go back to live set area. I'm not going to save that. So now if I go back to Forget You, see, it ignored what I just did because I switched out of it without saving it. So we've done Disco Inferno, Sucker. Let's look at another one. Here's the song Shut Up and Dance. And let me click on Performance Home. And I've got actually 4 scenes in this one. Scene 1, Scene 2, Scene 3, and Scene 4. So there's a lot going on in this song. And in this particular band that I'm in, the guitar player wasn't able to do that chugga chugga guitar sound that you hear at the beginning of Shut Up and Dance. So I had to do it, and what I did was I cheated a little bit. I went to my computer inside Logic Pro 10, and I found a distorted electric guitar sound. Yeah, I made a little sequence of those fast 8th notes, and I did it to the exact tempo of the song. So I've got one note that I press here. In fact, let me zoom the camera out a little, and you can see I'm just pressing one note. Here it is. And I'm going to zoom back in. You don't need to see all that junk behind the keyboard. Okay. I'm not going to do a Logic Pro 10 lesson as to how you create that sound, but how you get it into the keyboard, I can show you quickly. I'm going to go back. I'm going to get out of here, go back to the category area, category search area, performance category search area, and to get to get samples into the keyboard, you do the init, which I showed you earlier in this video, right? Init, and I think in this case, did I make it a normal? I think I made it a drum, yeah. And then go to Performance Home, yeah. And then you select that part. It gives you one generic drum part by default. And I'm going to edit that part. And drum key, I'm going to say select it with the keyboard. And in this instance, I picked the G1. I'm sorry, the G2 key. There it is. Turn that off. And then I went New Waveform. That's going to look at whatever. It's going to look at your thumb drive. And I've got in the thumb drive. Well, right now I've only got one wave file in there, which happens to be from Uptown Funk. But I had created the chugga chugga guitar sound and saved it as a wave file, and then I copied it in. Let's copy this one in. We'll say, okay, take that one. Oh, it didn't take it. Sorry. I got to select it. There it is. Yeah. Yeah, in this case, that wave file was there from something I was doing with Uptown Funk. But I'm touching the G2 key, and it's playing that sound that I just took off of the the USB thumb drive. So that's how I created the chugga chugga sound. I'm going to get out of here and not save this. I'm going to go back to live set area. We were looking at Shut Up and Dance. Let's go back there. Okay, so as I said, this part 6, and it takes a little. It took me a little time to get down precisely hitting that G2 key to keep it in time with the band. What else is going on in this Shut Up and Dance? Well, there's a lot. I've got this high. When the verse comes in, I play that sound, and what is it? Well, it's got, let's take them one at a time. Solo, this guy. Strings. It's got a punch lead sound. And a PWM stabs part. And I think that was everything, right? Let's, yeah, those 3 parts. Okay, and then that's the verse, and after the first verse, it goes back to a part with that business going on, and then there's a synth solo, and that comes when I play the synth solo. I switch to scene 2, so you'll see when I switch to scene 2, I've got 2 new parts that had been muted, right? Parts 4 and 5 initially were muted, but now when I go to my synth solo, parts 4 and 5 become unmuted. Part 6 is that guitar sound. Parts 4 and 5. Yeah, it's pretty loud, isn't it? Okay. So what is that? Yeah, it's part 4. It's called FM Distortion E Guitar, and part 6 is called Mr. Finger. And I made the wavering sound by just pushing forward the mod wheel. When it gets to the last verse and chorus, the keyboard man in the band is doing stuff like. Sort of like that. He varies it a little more than that. But I've got scene 3 set up to do that, and I've also in scene 3 I've got that guitar sound unmuted also. And so scene 3 is activates or unmutes parts 6 and 7, and that part 7 is a called progressive rock lead. That's a guitar sound, and part 8 is punch lead. Together. Yeah, something like that. Okay. It's funny, I can do it better when I'm playing live than I can sitting here trying to make a video. We're going to leave it there. That's Shut Up and Dance.